And meanwhile, I'm talking about Billy Bass doing the Darius warning sound. Right. You take the high road and I'll take the low road and we'll meet somewhere in the middle.
Hey, that works.
Shoot the Core Cast.
Welcome to Shoot the Corecast, the official companion podcast to the RF Generation Shmup Club. This is a family-friendly shmup-themed podcast that knows the Devil Blade is in the details. I'm Addicted, knows addicted to shmups, and with me as always is...
MetalFRO, also known as Game Boy Guru.
Or Captain Von Trapp.
Yes. And if you would like to connect with the podcast, you can do so in a number of ways. Follow us on social media. We're on X as Shoot Corecast. You can follow me there directly also as Game Boy Guru. You can also find us on Blue Sky. Make sure you check out our Linktree page for links to our socials and all the various feeds. That is linktr.ee/shootthecorecast. Please rate, review, like, subscribe, etc. Follow the podcast on all your various preferred platforms. And on that Linktree page as well, you'll find a link to our Discord server. I would highly encourage you to join that so that you can play along with us with the Shmup of the Month and just kind of engage with the community. We've got a pretty lively group, and it's always good having conversation in there and talking about the games. And then also follow me over on Twitch, because I do stream the Shmup Club of the month, the Game of the Month, multiple times every month, and that is twitch.tv/GuruGameBoy.
All right. Well, let's move on to our focus shot of the month, of the year, which is DDP DFK, or otherwise known as Donpachi Daifukatsu Word Soup.
Yes.
So, I did not have a chance to do any of this. I had an issue where my computer died, and that was fun. Did a lot of adulting, but did not do anything fun as DDP DFK. How about you?
Yeah, I actually did put some time into this, specifically within the last few days, because I don't know why it took me so long, but I finally got the HDMI cable connected from my HDMI splitter that comes out of the capture setup, and am feeding that to the new monitor I have here. And so anything that I put through my capture, I can get on the monitor here, which includes all my consoles plus my gaming PC. And of course, that means hot Tate action on this nice 1440p monitor that sits in front of me. Having said that, I ran into some issues, and we had some discussion on the Discord about this. Shout out to the folks who've been chatting with me about this. Desolus, iHoz, Zyrolux, and the Orange. We've all kind of been talking about DFK here the last couple of days because I posted that I was messing with it, and the Orange was posting in there about playing a little bit too, and Master Who, and so Desolus posted this, and I want to share this. He said, did a couple runs on my OLED and Switch 2 model. The performance on them both appears to be equivalent. The damage output is the same as the Steam version, so I guess it's just a matter of subjective perception at this point. We were talking about the fact that I mentioned that when I was playing a Black Label on the Switch version, I felt like my Type A ship was underpowered the whole time. Even though Black Label has the feature where you can use your laser and the side shots from your options at the same time, so you theoretically should have higher damage output. But it felt like I was constantly fighting to take things out. Desolus also said, a couple other things I noticed. There's a lot less slowdown for larger patterns and boss patterns on the Switch version. Also, The lasers do not give any stars like they normally do in the Steam version. Apparently, there's also a bug that's been introduced in the Switch version. Livewire did a patch that was supposed to fix the leaderboards or add the leaderboards on the Switch version, but it broke some stuff as well. It sounds like... what was one of the issues? Oh, one of the issues was that lasers don't always despawn when you take out the enemy, which means that on certain boss fights, when you finish the boss fight, those lasers will just still be there. And apparently it shows up in other areas of the game as well, which is very bad, obviously, and not something that that you want to see. That apparently is only in Black Label, from what I saw.
So you're telling me that when Livewire went out to a patch, they went out and hired engineers from Microsoft?
That's what it sounds like, yes.
Okay. Because,
of course, they couldn't just fix one thing. They had to fix one thing and break another.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, yeah. Someone called Clippy.
In response to this, I pulled out the 360 version because I have the DDP Resurrection release that Rising Star Games put out in Europe. And this release it's not entirely region-free, but it's playable on both European and North American consoles. So, of course, I played that earlier, and I did that through this new Tate setup. But unfortunately, the 360 release does not come by default with Black Label or the Ketsupauchi Arrange.
Nope.
I didn't realize that, and so I can't buy that DLC now, of course, which means if I want to play those versions of the game, I will have to use the... I can't remember what the name of the exploit is now, but that new soft...
You're going to have to install Rock Band.
That new soft mod exploit that allows you to then sideload stuff if I want to do it on the 360 version. Which means if I want access to everything with accurate slowdown and all of that, I'm going to have to drop the $30 on the Steam version. Not what I wanted to hear. But I'm probably going to do it because I want access to everything, and if the Switch version has less slowdown, I want the slowdown that's in the game that's supposed to be there because it was, that it was like that on the PCB. So I'm probably going to end up buying the Steam version, and I would say if you have access to the Steam version on a PC, that's probably the way that I would suggest you play it, unless you just don't like the PC game or the Switch is your best or only option. But having said all that, I'm disappointed. But I did some messing around with the game, and I kind of had some thoughts. I played both of the other arranges that were on the 360 version, Arrange A and Arrange B. Arrange A is interesting. There's a lot going on. It almost feels like a proto-Black Label in some ways. But one of the things in Black Label, if I'm remembering correctly, when you play Power Style in Black Label, it disables your bombs, but then your bomb button becomes your button that switches your mode from normal to boost. When you're in boost, you have more forward firepower, but enemies also ramp up their attacks, and so there's a trade-off there. Arrange A has the boost functionality as well, but what's interesting is that when you're in normal mode, it seems like you score more points and enemies are a little less aggressive, but your hyper does not cancel bullets in normal mode like it does in regular DFK. But when you switch to boost, it does cancel bullets. So it's a little bit of a different approach. I'm not quite sure how I feel about it yet, other than to say it's interesting and I'm going to have to mess around with it more. But I've not been able to get even to the stage 3 boss in that mode. A range B, for some reason, it only played one level. And I don't know if that's the way it's designed as just simply a caravan stage kind of thing, or just what it is. Maybe there are conditions that you have to meet in order to move on, then I just didn't meet them. And so anyway, that I'll have to play with a little bit more or look into that more. But I finally went on the 360 version and just played 1.5. And I kind of lucked my way into stage 5. I didn't make it to the laser wheels, but I made it to stage 5. I managed to get the stage 3 1-up that you get by destroying that big base encampment thing. And then during the stage 4 boss, I scored enough to get over the 1 billion point threshold so I could get the extend. And that was enough to get me across the line into stage 5. Unfortunately, right after getting that extend, I lost it. So then I went into stage 5 with no lives in reserve and very quickly flamed out. But I feel okay about, getting to stage 5 in vanilla DFK without any real practice. Now that I know a few things about how the game flow works and where some of the gotcha moments are, or a couple of the boss patterns that I'm probably going to want to save a hyper for, I will probably try to tighten that up. Also try to make sure that my finger is on the bomb button at the ready so that I'm not auto-bombing as much, because certainly if I could trigger a bomb normally, then that would give me a much better ability to use my resources properly. But I still want to go back and beat Black Label Novice, but I feel like 1.5 regular arcade could be doable for a 1-all without an inordinate amount of effort. So I might, depending on how Black Label goes, I might switch back to 1.5 and at least try to get that 1-all, so I can have that on my list. But yeah, so I've put a little bit of time into DFK here in the past few days, and I'm looking forward to, now that this is set up and at the ready, I'm looking forward to being able to do this kind of thing more frequently.
Very nice. Looking forward to it. So let's move on to the shmup news that everybody could use. The first major shmup release from the Egg console service will be appearing on Steam. Is slated for the MSX version 2 of Zanac EX. An enhanced update to the original MSX Zanac release, the game is set to drop on March 17th. So not only can you get drunk, you can also take your Xanax with you. Drugs and get all your drugs.
Yes, ask your doctor if Xanac is right for you.
9 out of 10 Duke Togos recommended.
Developer Kevin Monitor has released a free game on his itch.io page called Super Grungy Bullet Hell Shmup, which was a submission to the Bullet Hell Artistry number 11 Unceasing Terrors Game Jam. That is a mouthful.
It just plays Nirvana songs in MIDI to avoid copyright.
Ha!
Track 17 reported on social media recently that work on Data East Core has continued and showed off the arcade shmup Vapor Trail. So release of the update core could be imminent.
Vapor Trail. The Cave official shop X account posted recently asking for someone who owns a Dodonpachi campaign PCB to reach out to them. Specifically, the post was trying to reach the original winner of the contest, ZBL NAI. The post stated that Cave is considering a plan to make the game available to people again. Now, whether this means a modern console or PC release, or possibly working with someone like Exa to make a new DDP arrange mode for arcades, is not yet known.
As soon as you mentioned this, all of a sudden I got that unsolved mystery guy out there. You can help solve a mystery. If you know ZBL NAI or have heard of him, please contact our hotline.
Yeah.
You too can help save a shmup.
Cave should hire Robert Stack. And they're like 3 people in the audience got that joke.
Yeah, I wonder if it's still open. Everyone just starts calling the Unsolved Mysteries hotline. Yes, I know who this person is. Let me save this cave shmup. Alright. Shmup and Zelda Hybrid Mini-Shoot Adventures is now released on Switch and Switch 2. This game has got a lot more legs than I thought it would be, too. It seemed to get pretty dismissed pretty quickly by the community, but it's certainly got long legs.
Yeah. Well, the Zelda fan that I am and the shmup fan that I am sees this and realizes, I probably should have bought and played this already, but I haven't. And so this is one of those games that I would kind of like to slide in somewhere as a kind of shmup adjacent title at some point.
Like December?
That might not be a bad idea. Developer, so yeah, like I was saying, that is actually the name of the developer, has released a single-stage, score-focused Q-em-up on itch.io titled Koala Planet. According to the game page, it was designed to be difficult and perhaps less approachable, and encourages players to go through the README to learn about the game's system.
Nothing like creating a game that's designed to be difficult and less approachable, right? It reminds me of that thing, the things that draw me to vinyl are the cost and inconvenience.
Yes.
Hotwing Hellions is a new couch competitive shooter from developer Loch Ness Labs. I like that name. It released on Steam on March 3rd. It pits 2 players against each other and race to complete levels and defeat bosses in order to win. This sounds a lot like one of the recent Toho games, right? What was it? Toho 26? I'm losing track here because it feels like we're just going, what has more confusing names, Marvel films or Toho games?
Might have been Toho 20, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah.
What intrigues me about this is, has the game been designed strictly to be couch competitive, or will it work over Steam like via net play? If it would, that would be a fun one to do at some point, just because then we could actually, engage in 2-player head-to-head matches and stuff with each other, different people in the Discord.
Why can't we just go back to when things were named simpler, like Revenge of Joe's Uncle?
Oh, you mean Revenge Joe's Brother?
Yes. Was that what was that? What was it?
That was Twin Eagle.
Yes.
Twin Eagle, Revenge Joe's Brother.
There we go. Let's go back to the simpler days.
Yeah. Moss has addressed concerns raised with the recent Raiden Fighters Remix collection, and while a solution is not yet available, they say they're working to improve performance and give players a better experience.
I have to say, though, Raiden 5 with the Coffee and Crystals talk, that got old, but after playing Natsuki Chronicles, or as I like to call it now, Dear Margaret, Are You There? It's Me, Natsuki. It's just the amount of talking. Oh my gosh. It's like, quiet, I want to shmup. It's just like, it's annoying. Look, it makes, if you make the chat on Raiden 5 seem pretty good, you might have a little too much talking in your shmup.
I was hoping to sit down for a coffee, but I guess that's not possible now.
Yeah. Well, or hey, that's something I mean, it's like a film noir that Shmup done is there. I was sitting down for my coffee and she walked in wearing those type of heels that she knew would drive me crazy. I could smell trouble in the air.
I love it. Okay, we totally need someone to mod the Steam version of Raiden 5 and give it a noir voiceover. Please, someone do that. I need that yesterday.
The story, I mean, that was the Mac Venture series with Deja Vu and Shadowgate and Uninvited.
Yes.
And all those games just make it to a shmup.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Also in conjunction with the Raiden Fighters Remix release, merchandise maker Kumagumi has released a line of Raiden-themed merchandise. This includes shirts, a poster, and a Raiden Fighters hat. These shirts include Raiden and Raiden 2 designs as well. Kumagumi has also previously done shmup-themed merchandise for things like Ikaruga, and various Topan STG as well. You know what? Just give me a red and a blue. You know those plushimals or squishimals? Just give me one of the either Vic Viper and Lord British, or just give me one of the... I forget what the heck the actual names for are in the Raiden series.
Oh.
But just give me those shmups. Those ships in a... just give them like squishable pillows or something, and we'll throw them on the couch and call it a day. That's the type of merchandise I want.
Yeah. I can't remember who it was, but I think someone in our Discord has maybe already ordered one of the shirts or hats or something.
You know what we need to do here? I think it's time that we just do Darius Cross Billy Bass.
If we could find a way to license that would be funny.
That would be great. And have it play the doesn't it play a warning sound when the boss approaches?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, just hack it to play that.
Woo! Woo!
Yep.
Woo! Yeah. Japanese doujin Kathui Trading is already working on a sequel to the Famicom and NES shmup Changeable Guardian Estique, and early footage has been posted to social media. It's unclear how far along the sequel is in development, but the game looks pretty far along based on the clips online, and apparently 2.5 hours of footage was shown off at an event in Japan recently, so it seems to have been in the works for a while. But no word on a release as of yet.
Looking forward to it. An interesting ROM hack has been released for Thunder Force 6 that replaced most of the music game with OST from Vitra Complete Edition Vitra Hexa. Other notable shmup ROM hacks of late include the minor update to the PC Engine version game of Saint Dragoon to remove the constant flame sound, as well as a hack of Gunhead, the Japanese version of Blazing Lasers, to increase the volume. Someone said, "This game is not loud enough." Thankfully, no one did that to Steel Vampire.
Yeah.
This game is not loud enough. I can still hear something on my speakers.
Yeah, you would get the Marty McFly speaker blowout thing if you turned up the volume to Steel Vampire too much more.
Oh, geez, yeah, that's what you get for turning up the power of love.
Indeed. Shmupmane 5.3 has been released and updated now to 5.31, which is supposed to have more accurate slowdown for CV1000 based arcade games, which of course is the hardware platform for several later Cave STGs such as Death Smiles Mega Black Label, Dononpachi Daifukatsu and its variants, Dononpachi Sayo Dojo, and of course Cave's final arcade shooter, Akai Katana.
Blaster Mayhem is a forthcoming vertical danmaku from developer Storm Duck. It has a classic pixel art style, and the Steam page describes it as aggressive game. It's only listed as coming soon. Why do I picture the logo for this is like a rubber ducky that also, it comes in with a, you know how you get those, like made of 2008 with the Jerry Bruckheimer where we come in and all of a sudden show a picture of a tree. And it just starts up with, you hear a little bit of rain and then it goes through and hits him with lightning and you see a rubber duck and it just quacks.
All I can think of is rubber ducky, you're the one.
You make bad times so much fun.
Yep.
Shmupper ducky.
Oh, man. Pixel Heart is doing a Neo Geo CD release of the original Androdunos to include both US and Japanese region releases. The game never saw an original Neo Geo CD release during the time it was out for MVS and AES, though there has been a bootleg CD version floating around for years. This will be officially licensed and will be a convenient way for players to acquire a copy. I'm going to have to get on this.
Yes, if you thought your Androdunos didn't have enough slowdown, wait till you try it on Neo Geo CD.
Ha!
This is still cool, though. Having another port to the Neo GC is great, but man, that thing is slow.
Yeah.
And we should know, we both own one. I think mine is the non-turbo version. Yours is a turbo, so mine loads at probably at one. Yours loads at 1.5 times the speed of mine. I don't know. I've got the original Japanese release, and you have the CDZ, right? The one that turns into easy bake oven if you don't cool it.
Yes.
Yes. See, yours you can at least, if it stops while it's loading, can make you some food. That's a nice added benefit.
Right.
Livewire has recently patched their release of Radiant Silvergun on Steam, which fixes a scoring bug during a particular boss fight that allows for unintended score farming. Oh no, Mark MSX is going to be upset. He's going to say, it's not the way it was intended to be.
No, I think it actually makes it the way it's supposed to be instead of a broken scoring.
Okay, well then he can keep inside that CRT he's at in the middle of a field somewhere.
Indeed. Similar to the recent Junya Inoue interview regarding Esperade, they've also, Shmuplations has also posted translated 2010 interview with Junya regarding Gawange that was taken from the same art book.
Nice. Terran Games announced Raging Blasters 2. The game isn't stated for release until 2027. Oh, I wonder if they're going for a PS6 release. But the developer stated this game will be a new focus, and the Steam page is already up for wishlist. It appears the game may at least pay some homage to Aero Blasters, aka Airbuster. Is a Raging Blasters 2. Its logo is designed very much to look like that old logo. Speaking of not really Terran games, but this just reminded me, didn't we have the developer of Gunvein, Bog Hog. I almost called him Boss Hog, and I was thinking Moochie Moochie Pork. See, I got too much going through my brain here. But isn't Bog Hog's new shmup supposed to come out this year, or is it next year?
Yeah, his next game is called Armed Decobot, and it's kind of a shmup beat-em-up hybrid, if you will. And I think it's still supposed to be released this year. From what I understand, it's close. Speaking of hybrids, shmup RPG hybrid Sigma Star Story DX is slated for an April 7th release for Switch, PS5, and Steam.
Nice. I actually have this on the Game Boy Advance, and I hate to say it, but I have never even tried it. I bought it, and then it sits there.
Wow.
I am like, what was it, the Retro Game Bird. I stop sometimes, I just stare real hard at it, and then I move on.
Yeah. Yeah, I bought the Game Boy Advance re-release that Limited Run did, and so I would like to cover that game at some point, but, you know, so many shmups, and there are only so many months.
That is true. The Console Archives release of Sonic Wings Special has been released as of March 12th on PS5 and Switch 2. Oh wow, something actually released on the Switch 2.
Yeah.
It's been confirmed to be the PlayStation version. Oh.
Yes. Which makes sense because the Saturn is more difficult to emulate.
It hasn't stopped. What's that group from doing it though? Saturn Tribute. They keep pumping those things out.
Yeah, that's true. The online features for the Kaitai mobile game Pink Sweets Gaiden Taisen Rose Sisters have been revived courtesy of UV.app. This allows for the functionality of fighting against ghost data from other players in versus battles. So always cool to see that kind of more niche game preservation.
So is this masochism on the go? What is this?
I'm not 100% sure.
Okay. I thought this was like a mobile. Well, yeah, it's a mobile, but I just remember like what was the one that someone was trying to do? Was it Raiden? I'm trying to remember. What was the one that was like a Java version? It was ported to the Hello Moto or Razer phones or something like that in Japan. It makes me shudder every time someone think of a Java version of a game, but if that's the only way to play it.
Well, I mean, that's what a lot of the G-Mode games were that have been preserved, and now you can buy them on Switch. Things like there's a DOJ, the DOJ, and there's a couple of other of the Cave G-Mode games that are out on Switch now, and those were basically mobile, Java-based Kaitai phone games.
Twix Shot from Diggergrot is a new horizontal shmup for Playdate handheld, and it apparently makes you speak like Elmer Fudd. It's available from the Diggerot itch.io page, and it's a witch-themed queue-up with 5 stages, unlockable characters, and multiple power-ups to use.
Yeah, it's TWYK. Hence the Elmer Fudd thought there, but this actually looks cool. So if I had a play date, I would be downloading it.
Doesn't it play, or is that the one with the crank, right?
Yeah.
Could you imagine that on there? You have to do that for your super or your bomb.
That would be an interesting mechanic.
Yeah.
Japanese doujin developer Civic Star is working on a new game called Cosmo Lemon. A promotional YouTube video shows off some gameplay and music, and it's a 4x3 vertical shooter that has kind of a 16-bit console arcade look and sound to it. No word on platform or release date, but if you're a fan of the mid to late 80s style old school arcade STG, this may be one to watch.
I heard originally they wanted to go with the tomato, but it was already taken. Bo Bales, who previously released a unknown set of commands in Thunder Force 5 pre-release demo for the Sega Saturn, has uncovered similar inputs to the retail version of the game. To activate the code, press L R Z B Y C X. That would and start. Well, I was just thinking that could have been great if we substitute that with a speaking spell.
Right.
Start in quick succession at the title screen. The full post on the Sega Saturn Shiro website notes that you only have 15 frames between button presses, so you have to have Takahashi Meijin-like reflexes in order to pull this off. Once activated, there are additional combos you can use at the core select screen to start on later stages.
Yeah, it's so cool that this stuff continues to be discovered with old games, whether it's experimentation or data mining, that people find this stuff. So anyway, Red Art Games will be releasing deluxe and collector physical editions of Sonic Wings Reunion starting yesterday as we record this, March 26th. Pre-orders are up on the site, or I guess now orders.
Oh, okay. I had to look this up because I thought it might be referring. Okay, when it says blue pieta, I thought it meant it could mean chicken. And here I was saying blue chicken, but no, it actually means pity or compassion. Okay, so I at least it's not blue chicken. Developer Deer Farm and publisher CFK have announced Shikikondo Blue Pieta, which means blue pity or compassion. It's a follow-up to the previously released Shikikondo Soul Eater, and later reworking the game Shikikondo Yokai Rampage. This time around it'll be a horizontal shooter. The PC/Steam version is slated for release in the first half of 2026, with Switch 2, and PS5 versions to follow. According to an interview from CFK, the slow collecting system returns, but as expanded upon, the game will feature ultra-wide monitors on up to a 32:9 aspect ratio. Hey, if Dave can copyright date mode, I'll copyright ultra-wide. The game will also have full voice acting. More details are to come for the Steam release. Oh, please, 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 please give me great acting. Like, let's show him some fancy action now.
Yes.
Or
I'm Kim from 2 Homes and 7 Moms.
All your Ergish belong to us, indeed.
Yeah. I am cautiously optimistic and hopeful for this. I wanted to like Shikando more than I did. And I think part of my issue with Shikando was the performance problems, because when we covered that game, I played all 3 versions, Switch, PS4, and Steam, and they all had issues. Yokai Rampage was supposed to fix that and tweak some stuff to make the game better, but I still have a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth from the original Shikando Soul Eater release. But I'm hopeful for this. You know, we announced, this has probably been over a year ago, that there was footage being shown off of a follow-up game, but it was a horizontal platformer, more like a Contra style game with platforming and shooting. But it sounds like they're going to stick to the shmup formula, so maybe they went back to the drawing board and realized, no, this is our bread and butter, we need to do this. So I'm hopeful that means that they'll be able to tighten this up and give us a good game.
Yeah, see, to me, they're sort of in line with tribute games where it looks the part, but it doesn't always play the part right. You get this picture like, this isn't quite what I wanted it to be. Have you played a tribute game?
I'm not sure if I have or not.
They did Panzer Paladin. They did...
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, I played Panzer
the Marvel
Paladin.
Cosmic Invasion. They did the Scott Pilgrim EX. And they look exactly as they should, but the gameplay itself just isn't as tight as it needs to be.
Yeah.
And every time I get excited, and then all of a sudden it's like, this doesn't match what I had hopes for. So, that said, they are definitely getting better, but it's one thing where you see something and they're like, this is pretty good, and then you actually sit down and try it, and then you become disappointed, and that's a hard place to distinguish it. But it's where I find myself with the Shikikondo games, as well as with games from tribute games.
Huh.
Yeah, as I tried the Scott Pilgrim EX demo, and it's sort of the same as the other one, but the other one just has so much, the original Scott Pilgrim game has so much better gameplay. It looks the same, but it doesn't play the same.
Interesting.
And to be fair, those are really hard to do, right? Make something in the classic style. You go too far and you alienate the people who love the original, and you don't do enough, and people just say, oh, it's just a rework of the original.
See, and I guess I thought the EX was just an updated version of the original. I didn't realize it was a different game.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like it takes place in the future or something like that. So.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah, it's all right.
Huh.
Some people could jokingly call it the direct to video sequel.
Oh, okay, that makes
Scott
sense.
Pilgrim versus the World, but
right. Scott Pilgrim versus the Betamax.
There you go.
The PC shoot-'em-up classic Tyrion now has a port to the Open FPGA platform and can run natively on the Analog Pocket thanks to Obsidian.dev doing the work to get the game running on the hardware.
No, you probably bankrolled this one, right?
I might have, but I didn't.
No.
But this is cool to see, and I'm definitely gonna have to download this and get it set up on my Pocket.
Definitely. Rising Core, the vertical SMS shooter in development from Bad Computer, is slated for a 2026 release digitally on itch.io, and a physical release is planned as well. Previous SMS works from Bad Computer were printed physically by Two Minds, but the store and printing outfit closed down in 2025. It's not known how this game's cartridges will be printed, but hopefully they'll be of similar quality.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to this one, because this one I think might end up being the best thing that Bad Computer has done so far.
If anyone could do it, I would imagine limited run games.
Yeah, possibly.
Look, if they've reached the bottom of the barrel by doing Plumbers Don't Wear Ties, I think that they could do a brand new SMS game.
This is true. Project Hydron from developer Kobor is in development now as an homage to Amiga classics like Hybris and Battle Squadron. It's being developed to run on actual Amiga hardware, specifically targeting an Amiga 500 with 1 megabyte of RAM. It will also be developed to run under any version of Kickstart. Development has only just begun, but the dev plans to do monthly updates on the itch.io page to keep everyone updated on the progress.
Very nice. Publisher Gravity Game Arise has announced a pair of Jalico Arcade Collection releases slated for Steam later this year. A release date is not yet known, but among the games in Volume 1 will be Side Battler, Formation Z, P-47 Freedom Fighter, and Saint Dragoon. Volume 2 will include shooters Argus, Earth Defense Force Xerion, and Plus Alpha.
Now this is pretty cool. A combined Sega C and C2 core is in development for Mr. FPGA and Analog Pocket. This will include a handful of shmup and shmup-adjacent titles like Thunder Force AC, Disco Queen, and Sonic Cosmic Fighter. No word on when the core will be in the Update All script, but hopefully we'll see that soon.
I need to update my Mister. I don't think I've updated in like 2 years at this point.
It's been a minute since I've had mine online as well, so I definitely need to do that.
Well, it's getting to the point now where we're switching the internet service providers. So I was like, why am I going to go through all the trouble to get this on just to have to redo this 2 days later? So
right.
I'll wait just a little bit.
Yeah.
And done.
Before we move on, speaking of Mr., shout out to Drake Tungsten in our Discord. He's been making a whole bunch of Mr. tutorial videos explaining how to set up and configure various cores. And he has really been putting in the work on doing this. And so if you have a Mr. or you're thinking about getting into the Mr. and you kind of want to know what to do, definitely check out his videos, because they can help walk you through a lot of this stuff very step by step.
All that popped in my head was, hi, I'm Drake Tungsten. You may remember me from such videos as Mr. Let's get started, and Mr. Let's play NES. Full set developers of the Neo Geo Tate Shmup Project Neon have released I've teased that the game is currently being converted to run on the Sega Saturn, but with a twist. Instead of being a game that runs on disc, they're going to use a cartridge slot as a means to run it. It's still early in progress and there's no official announcement, but cool to see someone utilizing the cartridge port to load a game. They may have wondered what would happen during the system's life cycle. Alright, here's what we need to do. We need to have lock-on action with this cartridge. Let's go.
That would be cool. The one caveat that I have to say about this is the Saturn cartridge slot is notorious for being kind of finicky. So I hope that this is one of those things where they understand that if they release it on a physical cartridge, they may get some people returning the cartridge because some Saturn owners may not understand that cartridge slot can be a bit of a pain. However, I'm excited for this because the game has only been released as an MVS and I think AES title at this point. I actually got a chance to play this last year at Shmup Slam because the owner of Akihabara Arcade has the cartridge of this. And so I got to mess around with it for a little bit, and it was pretty cool. And so I'm not spending the $400 for an MVS cartridge, but if I could buy a Saturn cartridge for a lot less than that, I would definitely go that direction. So this appeals to me.
Well, look, at $400, that's a deal these days. That's a lot cheaper than a PS5.
Yeah, or in the words of Alucard, I'm interested in this.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, it makes me wonder, like, how, because a lot of the stuff, the Saturns that you did see were, or at least a lot of them that were in circulation. Do you remember, like in the 2015 through 2020, there was a lot of MVS 1Cs that were converted on AliExpress?
Yep.
Yeah, the same thing happened with the Saturn, right? When that cartridge, the open source, the Saru was released, you can just find tons of them in 3D printed cases now.
Yep.
Without the disk drives or anything like that. I wonder if that would be sort of a way that people would start, which is weird thinking about it. Official Saturns turn into bootleg Saturns playing games off of cartridge.
Yeah. That reminds me, I still have an MV1C board that I need to fix up. It needs a new battery, and it's kind of grungy, so it probably needs cleaning and maybe the solder joints reflowed. And then if I could do it right and get around to it, it'd be cool to consoleize that.
Talk to DJ Psycho.
Yeah. I bet he would know. He would have some good suggestions.
He'd probably say buy Neo Turf Master, stick it in there, and let's get it done.
I mean, you can't go wrong.
That is true. You can't go wrong with Neo Turf Masters.
And now that music is stuck in my head.
Well, what was I forget what was some of those things that they say, like nice shot, and
yeah.
There's one that they really mispronounce, like Elmer Fudd.
On the Green!
Yeah, on the Green. Shmupper Ishmoken has done some testing with Darius Burst Ace X on Switch 2 after some recent updates to fix the game compatibility issues and confirms there's no more stuttering present in the game after the fix.
Yeah, Ishmoken is one of the shmup community's resident Darius enjoyers, and so thank you for your service in testing these games out. Developer The Prince of Mars is working on a new game called Quartermain in Operation Slug. It's a horizontal danmaku that includes bidirectional shooting and a focus shot of some kind that appears to work off a meter, so its primary purpose is scoring. The game is a name-your-own-price title on the dev's itch.io page, though at present it's only in the demo stages.
Why does this seem like a DreamWorks period? DreamWorks presents The Prince of Mars.
Yeah. I don't know.
Or we can go the other way. Total Recall. Get your butt to Mars. Sorry, it has to be family friendly. Oh, speaking of which, don't play the Total Recall NES game. Even after the EVGN episode, I was a little curious. Like, what the heck? It can't be that bad. Oh, yes, it can. Dream of Yukihana is a new HoloLive fan game SDG from Mr. JX. Out now on Steam as of March 16th. It's a vertical Danmaku based upon HoloLive 5th generation characters with Yukihana Lani as its central figure. It's free to play on Steam.
Yes.
I almost said Unjana Lamy.
Unjammer Lammy?
Yeah, come on, Paul Rappa. Let's bring back Paul Rappa.
Yeah. The NES slash Famicom version of Terra Crusta is now out on console archives as of March 26th.
Great. Now I got kick, punch, bomb. It's all in the mind. If you want to test me, I'm sure you'll find. All right.
Punch, block, kick.
Yes. Cotton Rock with You now is the Japanese release date of August 6th. No word on a Western release yet, but whether it will be renamed outside Japan and tied to the Continent Fantasy motif. It's slated for release on Steam, PS5, and Switch 2 simultaneously. And you can almost bet there'll be a version that has a teacup somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, there's been some speculation on some of the other shmup discords that this might end up being called Cotton Fantasy 2, just to sort of keep with the naming convention that was used here in the West. I have no idea why Cotton Rock and Roll didn't just come over, but who knows?
Well, as long as it has a soundtrack by Bad Company, I'm in.
Oh, well, I mean, I could go for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
ZPF now finally has a digital release date for modern platforms, and it is set for April 16th. Curiously, however, it's only set for release on Steam, Switch, and Xbox platforms. PS4 and 5 are currently excluded. I don't know why that is, but...
maybe it ran into the Monster Hunter problem. There's not enough PS5s out there for them to make your return.
Huh. Well, in any event, it's good that this is finally going to get a wider release because, lots of people are not going to want to buy a Sega Genesis cartridge just to play this game, much like many people would not have wanted to buy a Sega Genesis cartridge just to play Eartheon.
That was cheap during the last Steam sales, like $12.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Noted game developer Krugman is showing off box for obscure PC-98 eroge shmup called Games for Dad Part 8, Elegy for Old Men. Oh boy. Aptly named Krugman. And just thought we finally got rid of Plumbers Don't Wear Ties. We have this. It is planned to be dumped shortly since the game is heretofore been unavailable on the internet, archive post, or other means. And I just can't understand why no one decided they wanted to back this up, let alone say that they own a copy of this game.
Yeah. Well, the Blue Sky post that I saw the link to had photos of the box, and the back of the box did have some, mildly adult artwork on it. So when I posted the link to it in the newsfeed, I did add the spoiler tag in Discord, and said, hey, this post is kind of not safe for work, which we sort of have as a rule in the Discord, but since it is relevant to the news, I thought I would share it, put it out there, spoiler it, and let people know so that they can avoid it.
Did you at least put a beaded curtain up so that people had to open that first?
Discord doesn't have a beaded curtain option.
Oh, darn. That's true. They just had the age verification system that went horribly, horribly off the rails.
Yes, very much so.
Okay, let's move on to our participants of the month for February 2026. They were Samsonite STG, Eat Electric Death, Squash, Desolus, Raoul, Zero Lux, and DL Wraith.
Yes, and just for your edification, Samsonite STG is formerly known as Man of Yagagwa. So he did you a solid by renaming his account and making it easier for you to pronounce.
Man of Yagagwa. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you. So let's give a brief introduction to Devil Blade Reboot. It was released on PC on Steam on May 23rd, 2024. It is developed and published by Shigetake. Devil Blade Reboot. Yes, Reboot. I'm going to reboot that statement. Devil Blade Reboot is basically a remake of the original Devil Blade, which Shigetake created in 1996 for Decimon Plus for the Sony PlayStation and expands upon concepts originally developed in the game. The Decimon series of games began with the original Famicom and spanned multiple consoles. Each iteration of the Decimon was an early shmup creation tool for consoles that allowed you to design pixel art and use built-in assets and build your own STG, including music creation and basic implementation of physics and systems. The original Devil Blade was later featured in compilation shooters designed within Decimon Plus, titled Decimon Plus Select 100. Devil Blade is game number 10 within the list. It's also featured on the second disc of Decimon Kids release in 1988, which has 102 games that are developed with Decimon Plus. Nice to know it's kid-friendly and approved, just like Kicks. According to a trivia tidbit in the Shmups Wiki on the page for the game, Devil Blade Reboot started in development in 2017 and was initially called Devil Blade Prototype. An early demo of the game is still had that name before it was changed prior to the release of the final game. Shigetake is an artist who works for Vanillaware, so while he isn't a developer in the traditional sense, he learned how to use STG builder software to help him create Devil Blade Reboot. Vanillaware games featuring Shigetake's art include Grim Grimoire and Odin Sphere for the PS2, Muramasa for Wii and his Vita re-release, and Dragon's Crown, among others, as well as newer titles like 13 Sentinels and Unicorn Overload. Well, thank goodness they didn't take art from Dragon's Crown, because that could have gone in not safer direction pretty quickly with that.
Yeah.
Shigetake is also known for creating Hanaburo 10, official mascot of Bukan Hanaburo, a brand of spicy Japanese snacks. You know you really made it as a Japanese company when you have your own mascot.
Exactly.
When Devil Blade Reboot initially launched on Steam, Shigetake asked players who planned to stream or record the game footage to upload online to use stream mode built in the game, which would skip the intro story and details and skip the ending sequence as to not spoil the story for those who hadn't played the game yet. This can be toggled in the game's option. Now, this one set off controversy like none other. I remember Mark MSX being up in arms with this one.
Yeah. I understand why people were upset about it, but I also understand why Shigetake cared about it enough to make that an option and request that players use it. I don't think, looking back, I don't think anybody was going to be sued or, have their channel flagged or something like that for not turning that option on. So I think most players probably just turned that option on when streaming initially. Now, it's been more than a year since the game came out. So when I streamed it, I had it on initially, but then turned it off later. So I think more than a year on, it's probably not that important, but I get it.
Yeah, I get it too, but it doesn't, I don't know. It just doesn't seem like I go to Shmups for the gameplay. I would say out of 10, that story is probably 10 out of 10, right? It's one of the last things I look for in a shmup.
Right. And normally I would put the story in the intro, but I felt like the story was so minimal that it wasn't even worth putting in there. So that's my take. If someone else, feels like the story is important, then I guess good for you. But I didn't feel like the story there was enough there. I didn't feel like there was enough meat on the bone to warrant putting something in the intro, because it would basically just be a repeat of the intro. It's not like the older games where you can get a goofy story from the manual to put in there.
Right. No, it just feels very much like a Saturday morning cartoon type, right? It's just there to do a quick sketch so you can get into the game.
Right. Bad guys are bad. Make them pay with many pew-pews.
And then you have some bad guy, it felt very Dr. Claude. Next time, Gadget, next time.
I'll get you next time, Gadget.
Yep, there we go. I mean, that's really what it felt like after every boss fight.
Right.
I mean, that's really about all it was Saturday morning cartoons. So, but that's absolutely fine by me. So I was also sort of thinking, because I was playing Natsuki Chronicles and they're trying to set up all this stuff about a pilot going through the ranks. Am I doing the right thing? All this stuff. I'm just like, geez, they're talking a lot on here. Just like coffees and crystals and Raiden 5. I'm like, enough already. Stop. But it also sort of makes me wonder, in all these shmups, were they realistically just going, well, here's the Vic Viper, we spent all this money, it's got all the latest technology, the only problem is we spent too much money on making it look nice, you're going to have to go out there and actually get your power-ups to speed up.
Huh.
It's sort of ridiculous shmup real-life problems. I'm sure there'll be some sort of webcomic or something based on that. Or maybe I'm dating myself by saying webcomic.
Video game logic, TM.
Yes. Alright, so this game is a 3-button game. Button 1 fires your main shot. It is auto fire by default. Bomb 2 is the bomb or boost button. You press the button, your ship will release a bomb from its stock. If you press and hold the bomb button, you will instead give up a bomb to activate boost mode, which offers a X5 multiplier based upon your berserk level, and you can change the functionality in the game's menu to either disable bombing in favor of boost or turn on bomb only. Well, in boost mode, your ship takes a hit, you won't lose a life, but boost mode will immediately cancel. Button 3 changes your shot type. The main wide shot is the initial default type, and the narrow shot type is the alternate. Your ship speed slows while using the forward shot type, though the movement is affected if you're not firing. Hey, you basically have wide, fast, or you have narrow, slow, right? You switch between the two upon what you want to do. And this narrow, slow is basically your focus shot.
Kind of, yeah.
There are item carriers that will spawn as pre-described points during each stage, 2 at a time. The orange carrier will also have a bomb item when you shoot it. If your ship doesn't have a shield, easy through hard difficulty, the blue carrier will drop a shield item. If you have an intact shield, the blue carrier will drop 6 crystals that will award points. Oh, jeez, crystals again. Just watch the next one. We'll have coffee. Items that have a short radius around them where they'll be drawn to your ship if you're in close proximity. The game has 4 difficulty levels. Easy, as you would expect, is easier difficulty. With less aggressive enemies and fewer bullets, rank is of less of a factor here. Your ship starts with a shield equipped, and you have a shield back if you have a bomb or boost. Easy mode also has an auto bomb that will activate if your ship takes a hit without a shield. Normal is the default difficulty and suitably more difficult than the easy mode. Rank climbs more quickly here, making enemies more aggressive or fire larger or more bullets in patterns as rank rises. Bombing and boosting will still grant a shield, however. Hard difficulty makes things even more aggressive, with no shields are awarded from bombing. Inferno difficulty changes things up a fair bit. There are no bomb or shield items, so all item carriers will only have crystals. Rank is also at max at all times, and your berserk meter must be active or you lose the ship. Talk about Disco Inferno. Berserk is the primary driver of rank. So the higher your berserk meter, the greater the rank is up to max, while berserkers active enemies will have a higher rank and more hit points. As you play the game, you earn virtual coins that you spend in-game to unlock extra content. This includes art galleries, soundtracks to listen to in-game, and also the retro mode, which is an updated version of the original Devil Blade game. Devil Blade Reboot also includes the boss rush mode, which allows you to exclusively fight reboot versions of bosses in quick succession. Retro mode plays similarly and well based upon the original Decimon release. It incorporates a proximity-based scoring system of Reboot, but simplified. Some stages are noticeably different than the Reboot counterparts, while some are relatively faithful, and a few obvious changes or tweaks were made for the Reboot stages. Devil Blade Reboot plays across 5 stages, culminating in both the Stage 5 boss fight as well as the true last boss fight. I have to say, I did really like the boss fights on here, despite the constant radio chair that was, again, the Saturday morning cartoon I'll get you next time, Gadget. Stage 1, or Episode 1 as the game calls it, is the Lost City over Eminence airspace. You descend through the clouds to fly over the tall buildings of the city until you face off against the boss, Zorkmaster Geo. You know, this is where I have to say, this game does have a lot of lore, but I'm not going to go back through and play Zork, Return to Zork, Zork Returns. There's just too much lore in that stuff. It's going to take too much time. I mean, that's a lot of lore for a shmup. No, thank you.
You're likely to be eaten by a grue.
I did try playing some Return to Zork to get some of the lore, but I just couldn't do it. Episode 2 sees you flying over Lunatic, which has a hidden city on the moon. You skim the surface, taking out enemies from the base, and the surface of the moon opens up to reveal the giant underground city itself. Shall we add in it came from the moon, dark side of the moon, or that's no moon joke here?
I'll see you on the dark side of the moon.
There we go. And you fly into the opening to confront the enemy there until you reach Zork's core, the moon brain apparatus, which is basically, it's just a glowing orb.
Yeah, but this is a cool boss fight because
it is.
It's this central core thing that you fight, but there are these rotating pieces on the outside, and it shoots lasers that kind of sweep along. It reminds me very much of a similar boss in Radiant Silvergun, where you kind of hide behind different platforms that are spinning around to avoid the lasers, and here you kind of move left or right and kind of in a semicircle around the base of that core, so that you avoid the lasers, and then some of the lasers that come in from the sides, you know, you can kind of sidestep. And so it's a really cool set piece, and I got frustrated with it during my runs, but it is a very very well constructed boss fight.
Yeah, this is something that I've seen in multiple shmups done a couple different ways, but yeah, this is one of the better boss fights. Episode 3 is Resistance at the End of the Universe. According to the stage intro, having left the moon, you are now in the open space fighting many enemy waves over a backdrop of large warships. Yeah, I call this the Raystorm stage.
Exactly.
Yeah, some of which fire lasers at you. After a high-speed chase partway through, you'll encounter Zorkmaster Vega. I don't remember that in the Zork game I played, but that's okay. A nimble warship that will assault you with many different attacks types at once. Yeah, this was... Zorkmaster Vega, was he the one that would go in the background and then fire stuff that would go... The hyperscaling bullets? Was that boss?
I think so, yeah. I think it's also the one that uses the R-type helix laser attack in one of its patterns.
Yes, the R-type laser comes back on. Yeah, okay. There's another R-type, the big space battleship. I think that's stage 4.
Yeah.
Episode 4, known also as The Threat, sees you... watch, I'm going to start calling these by Star Wars titles The Phantom Menace. And sees you taking on the Guardian of the Ark, a large segmented battleship. Yep, this is another R-Type covered in turrets, lasers, and various other attack vectors. Each section of the battleship is timed, so you have a limited window to take out the threat before the segment will self-destruct and move on to the next. After taking all the segments, you move on with Mother the Zork's battleship. The boss will try and trap you between its various attacks. Yeah, this is where... I mean, Cave did this, right, with Mushi. R-Type did this first, as far as I know. But there's a lot of these large battleship. This is still pretty cool. I did like this stage.
Yeah.
But it felt a lot easier than some of the stuff that were dealt with on the previous stage. With the exception of the last form of the last boss.
True.
Yeah, because a lot of the stuff you could just get really pull what's known as the Ketsui maneuver, right? You could just get really close to it, blast away, and then back off a bit. Because there's a little bit where you have an iframe right before it gets off to that part. So you just get as close as you can to it, and you attack it, and that way you leave yourself enough path so that way you can dodge whatever's coming at you.
Right.
Because you usually have direct and then you have indirect stuff, right? So you get the direct stuff as soon as possible to give yourself a lane to shoot in.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Episode 5 is the last stop. It's artificial planet Zork. As you descend deep into the planet core, we'll take out threats along the way. As you approach the core, you'll navigate through a series of tight corridors, as well as descending through several laser barrier openings before you reach the Blade Factor, which is Zork's core. The boss will punch you with 2 extending arms, fire rotating orb clusters at you, as well as a giant energy ball and huge laser spread, in addition to many different types of bullets. Yeah, this one was pretty neat, but the boss itself wasn't as memorable as some of the earlier bosses to me.
Yeah, I don't know. This one, I think its design is memorable, but the thing that's more memorable is a couple of its attacks are pretty interesting and intricate.
And then, of course, we have the last stage, or stage 6, episode 6, the final boss fight, or last episode known as the Judgment. It pits you against the deepest part of the Zork as an entity. This giant mecha similar to the stage 1 boss, but much larger in scale, with many multi-tier attacks. Taking out will fully destroy Zork and end the threat to humanity. Geez, who thought that when they created the original Zork in 1980, it could pose the threat to end humanity?
Well, as the computer said, would you like to, how about a nice game of thermonuclear war?
There we go.
The only winning move is not to play.
Yeah, Matthew Broderick was right all along. Indeed. Yeah, this one, especially if you play on the higher difficulty, man, this is brutal.
Yeah, it's a pretty intense fight.
Yeah. Alright, so aside from the aforementioned bomb and shield items, there are no power-up items in the game. Your ship is always at full power, and each stage will give you a minimum of 3 bombs, so you have less than 3 in stock from your previous level. You'll be topped up with at least 3 at the start of each subsequent level. Extends in the game are score-based, given at different thresholds depending upon difficulty. For example, easy mode awards the extra life every 2 million points, normal 3 million, hard 6 million, and Inferno is only 8 million.
Yeah. Yeah, and that is one of the things that I think gives this game legs in terms of replay value, because there are a lot of games where the survival gameplay is interesting, but scoring is not, or scoring is kind of broken, or games where survival gameplay is not interesting because maybe it's easy, but scoring is really interesting, and so people don't really play for survival. You know, they sort of play it, oh, I cleared it, yeah, that's all I care about. But if you can get into scoring, then really that's where the meat of the game is. And I think in some ways, this game tries to synergize that somewhat by tying survival to scoring in a little bit deeper level. I don't think it's as successful as some other games that do it, but the proximity-based scoring is an interesting hook, and certainly something that increases the challenge of the game, but there's that risk-reward factor because you score a lot better and you get those extends much more quickly. And so, there's definitely some push-pull involved there. Let's move on and talk about the audio-visual presentation here. The graphics, the look of Devil Blade Reboot is based upon the original Desaemon creation, but it is greatly enhanced with modern graphic techniques while still maintaining that pixel art foundation. There are a number of effects in the game that utilize bloom, scaling and rotation, and various shaders to give the game a look that I would compare to that HD 2D look that some of the recent Square Enix games have used, where the pixel art is augmented with lighting, depth of field, and other graphical trickery to make the visuals sort of pop more than your traditional pixel art would by itself. Now, along those lines, according to information on Shigetake's official Devil Blade Reboot website, the visuals are the graphics that he designed for the game were rendered in 320 by 240 initially for authenticity, and then of course they're embellished upon beyond that with visual effects. Enemy designs in the game are very traditional of sort of that old school space shmup look. The motifs are all very mechanized, and they have a pretty uniform look to them, including a lot of the boss fights. Boss designs, of course, are more detailed, and they have interesting attack patterns with many different types of projectiles, each with distinctive looks. And one of the game's more interesting features is that for enemy waves and larger enemy attacks, these things are all choreographed to an extent. As an enemy wave enters the screen, there will be markers showing enemy positions as to where they're going to be when they finish their spawn animation. Or during fights with larger enemies, mid-bosses, and bosses, attacks will be telegraphed by having faint red lines showing the trajectory of certain attacks before they happen, which gives you an opportunity to move out of the way. Not only is this helpful in gameplay, of course, but it's subtle enough visually to not be distracting or create a lot of visual noise. But if you do find it unhelpful in that way, you can turn that off in the menu, which is a nice quality of life. On the sound front, the music in the game is composed by Haru, and I would say it's fitting to the action. It's high energy, synth heavy, and has a variety of moods. There's some synthesized lead and rhythm guitar, and so several tracks have a classic hard rock or even heavy metal vibe to them as well. The soundtrack to the original game, Devil Blade, was done by Shigetake, but he enlisted composer Haru to do the work for the reboot, which means several new tracks as well as some that are kind of new arrangements of original Devil Blade songs. Sound effects in the game are not overbearing, with a shot sound that doesn't distract from the music or the action, and some satisfying explosion sounds that, of course, you want from a game like this. Now, as you alluded to, Shigetake used a voice-to-text speech system to provide the quote-unquote narration within the game, mostly bosses and mid-bosses taunting you and then expressing disbelief when you take them out. In a world of AI text-to-voice, it is perhaps a bit disconcerting, but the relatively flat delivery gives the voices a suitably robotic feel that is both corny, but it works for the game and is kind of, endearing in an odd way. And then both the reboot and retro mode soundtracks are unlockable in-game once you earn enough coins through regular play. And it's something we didn't mention before, but as you play the game, you kind of earn this virtual currency that you can spend within the game to unlock different things within the game, galleries and the retro mode you unlock, and the soundtracks and so forth. And so you can listen to them both in game as like you would in a sound test from an older console game. And then talking about the scoring, the primary scoring technique is the game's proximity-based scoring mechanic. The closer you are to an enemy when destroying it, the higher the multiplier. When you start out, you'll have multipliers of 1 times, 2 times, 3 times, and 4 times that will apply, with, of course, 4 times multiplier being when you are with the closest proximity to the enemies. Now, as you take out enemies and keep your kill chain going, you'll increase your berserk meter. Once that meter reaches 100% or higher, then you will activate berserk, and that will change the multipliers. So instead of 1, 2, 3, and 4, you'll have 5 times, 10 times, 15 times, and 20 times based on your proximity. So of course, being in berserk is highly advantageous because it means that your base multipliers are going to be way more lucrative. You can further increase the scoring potential of berserk multipliers by activating boost for the previously mentioned additional 5x multiplier on top of your berserk multiplier, giving you a much higher score ceiling. The crystals obtained from carrier ships are worth 2,000 points each normally, or 10,000 points each if you are in berserk. And then as you use boost throughout a stage, you'll cash in that boost percentage at the end of each stage just prior to the boss fight, where your berserk meter is then reset to 100%. At the end of each stage, you will earn additional points based on 3 factors. If you no-miss a stage, you'll get a 1,000,000 point bonus. A shot down bonus is awarded based on the percentage of enemies destroyed within the level. And then a boost bonus is awarded based on the maximum boost percentage level reached within a level. And so there's definitely some depth within the Devil Blade Reboot scoring, and is something that I know has kept some players engaged with the game beyond just the basic 1cc.
Okay. So let's move on to thoughts from the STCC community. Samsonite STG says, I'm about to mess this game up, guys. Not gonna lie, I love this game so much. My normal score was 15,167,341. To date, died during the final boss, so gotta try again tomorrow. Work is calling. Love this game. Love that it runs on PBS. Love how intense it is and based on symmetrical is at the same time. It's old school and new school at the same time. Did I mention I love it? 17,699,690 is my new personal best. No bomb, boost only. I can't describe how much I... Did I mention I love this game? When I started playing shmups last year, this was the one I bought first. Shigetake deserves all the credit in the world for this game. Did I mention how much I love this game? It is super accessible, clear, but it becomes challenging when you engage more of the scoring system. Music is amazing too. My favorite track being Stage 4, Terminator S Song. I can definitely do better. Scored 7 stars on Stage 1 and 4, 6 stars on Stage 2 and 3, and I think only 4 stars on Stage 5. I left some points on the table during those stages. I'll be posting a replay once I record some commentary. Later on, responding to MetalFRO's 1cc video, on stages I knew super well, I was going for at least 6,000% boost. Your score goes up like crazy when you cash out. Dude, that's awesome, man. Thank you so much for giving me video time. I'd love to see a boost run from you. Like I explained in the video, the game is fairly customizable with its options. I just turned bomb off completely. It makes it easier because I don't have to hold down the button when I want to boost. I just tap it like a bomb. I mean, somebody set up the bomb boost. Enemy level 3 is no joke. The jump from enemy level 2 is pretty crazy. Turns the game from Saibu Kahazu game pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Samsonite was definitely stoked on this game during the month. Eat Electric Death said, I wonder why it was never ported to consoles. Switch should have been a no-brainer. Though I've also heard that porting STG Builder games is a huge pain. Mecha-Ritz and Desitopia were an ordeal, apparently. Later on, EED said, finally started on DBR proper. This game's pretty neat. Starting off with a very messy, easy mode clear. And then again later, you definitely need to memorize the levels and boss attacks if you want to score effectively in this game. Reboot normal 1cc. Was almost a no-miss run too, but I died on to the penultimate boss once. Also, apparently, Shigetake is planning DLC, and EED linked to to a post in the Steam community, and then maybe also a console release, and linked again to another post. He said they're considering it, but that was over a year ago. He is quite active on the Steam forums. Nice to see a dev do that. Apparently, Kamui was an inspiration for DBR. It's pretty cool.
Skosh says, looking forward to booting this up again. Had a brief spell with it last year, I think maybe 2024. And here he is responding to Samsonite STG. Wow, what a score. I just cleared normal. I didn't even get a million. I need to learn from you how to score this. Hopefully you'll put a replay out possible. I think I got either 7 million or 700k. I'll have to check though. 700k seems more plausible. This game has some real great moments. Had me grinning so many times.
Yeah, and to clarify, it was 7 mil, not 700k.
Big improvement on my score after going all in on stage 1 and retreating to survival and be kind of like, I'm breaking 10 million on normal for now. Gonna try hard mode in just a bit. Had a bit of stage practice on hard mode and then get a few runs, got very close. Last pattern of the last boss, couldn't quite see it through to 2cc for now. It was a bit of a lucky run, so it may be a while till I get close again, but fun times. Man, I'm having a tough time with hard mode. Keep getting tagged and then death spiraling out. Made it to the final boss a few times, but some of those patterns are pretty tricky to read. I was relying on shield and normal mode so much that I'm panicking every time I lose it now. Gotta try the boss rush mode to up my skills and get those bosses and hope it'll make me through. Went from pretty much survival oriented approach, scored stage 1 a bit and set back pretty much. Made it for easier time. I think I need to prefer normal mode for fun times. This clear that was a little frustrating to work on. I think it's some sort of the bullet visibility. Too much signposting in my opinion. And some of the patterns just feel a little too random, kind of flat. Not exactly what I mean there. Anyway, I got the 1cc and here's the run. I may not be scoring hard mode, maybe normal, but as fun as this game is, it's not keeping me coming back for more just yet. Later on, the console Switch really seems to be confirmed in the works, but appears to be still a ways off.
Yeah, it would be cool to see this come to consoles. Desolus said, excited to return to this one as well. I dabbled when it first released too. Looking forward to pushing it a little further and hearing what everyone else thinks. And then later on, alright, back at it a bit today. I guess there must have been an update that wiped save data since the last time I played. Everything was gone. Here's a normal 1cc. I did okay-ish with playing aggressive, I think. A lot better than I probably did when the game first came out. Hard to agree about the telegraphing. It's a great touch. It makes patterns a little more sight-readable and a little less memo, I suppose. Not that I mind memo, I quite like it. Oh, and the soundtrack is available on Bandcamp for 1,000 yen if anybody wants to snatch it up. Well worth the money.
Raul says, Oh, just noticed this tab. Eager to engage this month. Devil Blade was the game that got me into shmups last year, and my first 1cc too. Oh, congratulations. Shame no global leaderboards yet. It's perfect for that. Let's go. Hard kicks my butt. Just got over the highest score of 1cc at 15 million. Stages 4 through 6 were just me bobbing for my life. I think if I trained the last two bosses a bit more seriously, my score would just skyrocket. Personally, I do like versatility of adding an actual shield when needed, and do keep bombs and boost turned on. It's probably just placebo effect, but knowing I have the option to activate a full shield whenever it gets more aggressive, knowing I can recover from mistakes easily. Devil Blade is deeper than I thought, and I hope Shikitake, I almost keep calling it Shikigami, darn it. I hope Shikitake releases it someday on console. I think it'll get a lot of traction, in my opinion. It's one of the games like Blue Revolver and Zero Range that I can definitely see becoming a big thing outside of our niche community. Yeah, again, for this, I think this is one of those games like Devil Engine, right? If it appeared on Switch, that would blow up. It's usually when you see, like My Life in Gaming had a video where it was featured and everyone kept asking, what is that game?
Yeah. Zyrolex said, another must-have modern shmup. Very happy to jump back into this one. I dusted off the cobwebs by clearing easy boss rush mode. I really like this as a feature because it lets you focus on all the bosses in a quick time span.
Dio Ray says, so I just want to say the soundtrack on this game is freaking ridiculous. There was an ever example of a background music enhancing and elevating the move of a game. This is it. It makes me want to play it again and again just to catch those vibes. I love how super it lets the stage 5's bosses before it hits you with an R-type air-to-air beam. My hands are still raining the controls with sticks, but I managed a boostless, easy 1cc, 1 death, 11,008,582 points. I also pulled a normal survival run of 7,405,792 points, but that run was trash. I lost 2 lives on the opening stage, being far too aggressive. Why did we have to play this beauty where I can't play properly? Much sadness. We will persevere. There we go, right there. There's a quote of the podcast right there. Much sadness, we will persevere. I found hard mode to be manageable until stage 3's midpoint kicks your teeth in silently if you drop concentration. After testing my wrist at arcade last night and pulled out my 8-bit dual stick for another pass at DPR easy mode. Played a little bit more recklessly with a booster 2 thrown in. New personal best, 13,866,184 points.
Yeah. Well, thank you everyone for your contributions and your discussion on the Discord. Always appreciate having those thoughts and feedback on the game so that we can share and, give multiple perspectives on each game. And since DL Wraith was just sharing score there, let's go ahead and roll into scores. For easy mode, I ended up with the top score on that with 14,767,008 points. That was a 1cc. DL Wraith's aforementioned 13,866,184 points. And Eat Electric Death with 11,219,716. Yeah, all of those were 1cc's. For normal mode, Samsonite STG pretty much trounced everybody with 17,699,960 points. Roll with 15,620,630 points. Then Scoush with 11,450,810 points. I came in with 10,031,348 points, and Eat Electric Death had 5,240,724 points, and all of those were 1cc's. On hard mode, the Scoush had 6,980,166. That was a 1cc. My best on hard was 4,479,724. That was not a clear. And then Eat Electric Death and I were the only ones who submitted scores on retro mode. I ended up with 5,925,058 points, and EED had 3,421,750 points. And so thank you for all the score submissions. Always cool to see how those shake out, and sometimes one player will be on the top on this difficulty, and then sometimes it'll be a different player on a different difficulty, or sometimes you'll have one player that'll blow everybody out of the water. So it's good to see when there's definitely a little bit of variety. Okay, final thoughts.
By Jack Andy, indeed. So for me, with this game, this is one of those rare games that it has something for everybody, right? You can bring in new people, it makes them excited. They can play it for a little bit and get something out of it, and you can also have a veteran player come in and play it for a while and get something out of it, right? It's got that rare universal appeal. It's not perfect, right? It does have some problem a little bit with the scoring stuff and can make the here, but overall it's a very well designed package, and I think that as most people have stated, this is one of those games that would get a lot of legs if it went outside of PC onto consoles like Devil Engine did. Hopefully it won't have the same troubled publisher history that Devil Engine did, but it certainly would fit the same niche and draw the same attention.
Yeah. The game is very approachable for just a basic clear, because if you hang back and you utilize the telegraphing of enemy waves and boss patterns, and you don't get super aggressive with point blanking and stuff like that, you're not going to raise your meter too quickly. And so you're still going to probably find yourself in Berserk by the end of the stage. But if you're not boosting like crazy, you're not going to be raising your enemy rank too high. And so your boss patterns are definitely going to be a little bit kinder and gentler. And overall, I think that will lend itself to a much more chill experience. But as we said, the challenge is there if you want it. It's really, the challenge is in scoring and in learning the waves and memorizing the layouts so that you can point blank and get those big multipliers, and then boost so that you can jump your scores way up. That's where the real skill ceiling is in this game. And so the depth is there if you want it and you want to get something out of it. It's a good tool to learn so that, number one, you can learn how to perhaps be a little less apprehensive about point blanking, and use that as a tool to also learn about how to misdirect bullets and things like that. And so there's enough meat on the bone that the game has legs and will reward the time that you put into it. I tend to get frustrated quickly with these kinds of things if I'm not making good progress. So my ability to stay engaged with this kind of proximity-based scoring system has limits. But I did enjoy this up to a point in terms of engaging with the scoring and learning how to do it. And I was pleasantly surprised at how quickly I managed to not only clear the game, but get a relatively decent score, and how I was able to do that without a ton of effort. And yeah, I think if I did put the work in, the score, you can really ramp that up quite a bit and go pretty far with it. So I honestly think that this is a game that I could see myself coming back to at some point, either for a quick pick up and play just because of the spectacle, but then also, I could see myself coming back to this to try and refine a little bit, or as I said, utilizing it as a tool to help me get over some of my my fears of point blanking and getting in close proximity with enemies. And so I think
how I learned to stop worrying and Ketsui everything.
Right, something like that. But I think it can work in that sense. And so from that perspective, it's a good game for newer or intermediate players to really dig into in order to help train that mentality, that point blank mentality. But
it also, the one thing that a big thing from Natsuki Chronicles here. Natsuki Chronicles is sort of like, hey, you did something, here's some points. Hey, you did something, here's some extra shields. It doesn't do as much hand holding, right? It could go overboard in hand hold, but it doesn't. It draws the line of, we're going to help you get some skill. It requires some. You're not just automatically going to give you a win here, just because you tried.
Yeah.
Right. There's no participation trophy in this, which is nice. I like the unlockables in playing through the story mode for Natsuki Chronicles, but after a while, it's sort of like, okay, here's your 16th shield for playing the stage 3 times, and it's sort of like, okay, where's the challenge in this? So this game definitely does a good job of giving that pick up and play, as well as allowing people to jump in. His Natsuki Chronicles itself, unless you're playing on the arcade mode, you really can't just jump in and start playing, right? You sort of have to keep grinding things out, and while that may work in a LRPG or JRPG, it's not exactly well suited for a shmup. I get what they're doing, and R-Type Finals tries to do this too, but unless it's something like really exciting to do, it just starts to feel like a grind after a little bit.
Yeah.
But I'll talk to him that more next week. Sorry for jumping in there.
No worries. All right. Well, I guess since you've kind of alluded to it, what do we have coming up next?
Well, coming up next we have, are you there, Margaret? It's me, Natsuki. Otherwise known as Natsuki Chronicles. Followed by Mekaret Steel Rondo of Blood.
Yeah, we're just finishing up Natsuki Chronicles here in March, and April is Mekaret's is our April game. And that was both Natsuki Chronicles. Well, I should say Natsuki Chronicles is one that we had kind of earmarked. We put it out in a poll on the Discord, and the community decided on that game. Then we had originally picked something else as a possible April game, but when we put the poll out for the April game, the community decided they wanted to play Mekaret's instead of the game that we had originally earmarked for April. So yeah, definitely join the Discord, because we're starting to do this more, where we're getting feedback from the community as far as what games they want to play. So yeah, for sure, get involved and let us know what you want to play. And we're always going to throw out a few options for different times. There will be certain games during the course of the year that we will for sure do and there won't be a vote. But as much as we can, we'll try to put something out there so that there are opportunities for people to get their choices in to the mix.
Yeah, and I don't even remember what May is, but after that, it's already been confirmed several times, and we had to because of the sales that were currently going on. But it's going to be Summer of Rays, right? So, Raystorm, Ray Crisis, and Rayforce, am I remembering that right?
Yeah, and we're going to do it, I'm going to say we're going to do it right, in the sense that even though we kind of joke about the story of shmups being less important, we are actually going to do this in story order. So it's going to be Ray Crisis first, because that is considered the prequel, even though it was the final game in the series. Then Rayforce, then Raystorm. We have to do Raystorm in August because of the voiceovers in the game that introduce each stage. You know, August 19th, 2020, or, 20, whatever it is. Albion DU, Earth. We have to do Raystorm in August because of that. It's just, it wouldn't work. It would be disrespectful to do it otherwise. I just have to say it.
Fair enough. And meanwhile, I'm talking about Billy Bass doing the Darius warning sound. You take the high road and I'll take the low road, and we'll meet somewhere in the middle.
Hey, that works.
All right, well, let's do the shout-outs here. First of all, I want to thank everybody for voting and choosing the games of the month, as well as participating and sending in your feedback. It's always entertaining and delightful to read these and to get feedback on what people think, because otherwise it'd just be two old men talking about shmups, which is exciting for maybe about 15 to 20 minutes, and after that, yeah. So we can't do the podcast without Jess. Thank you very much.
Old man yells at shmups.
Yes, and Cloud lately. Bring down my RAM prices. Not paying the cost of a GPU for a PlayStation 5. Anyways, I'd like to thank eTram for the logo. Everyone looking for some awesome shirts, please take a look at Redbubble. Kogosu for the intro and outro music, although I've heard that this has since been removed from YouTube. And MetalFRO for streaming and watching the Shmup Club Game of the Month, which... Oh, gee. Is it time for your Breath of the Wild, or has that already happened for the year?
I have started my Breath of the Wild run. I've done one stream. As we record this, I'm hoping to do my second stream tomorrow. It's going to kind of be spotty because I've got stuff going on then the following 2 weekends. So, yeah, it's probably going to take me a little longer than I would normally like to get through Breath of the Wild this year. But thankfully, the Switch 2 version has very little loading times, so that will help me to get through the game a little faster.
Well, once you are done with your playing Captain Von Trapp for the Sound of Music, I want to see you in Zelda the Musical, so you can do the dance from the Super Famicom.
Oh, good grief. Well, maybe by that time, the rumored Ocarina of Time remake will be on the horizon.
Every time I think of that, there's like, oh, Nintendo's doing something for Zelda, and then you look and it's like, wait, this is a PC port.
Yeah.
This is a fan thing. And meanwhile, the fans are doing all this neat stuff, and then Nintendo just goes, how can we be evil today? I know, variable pricing for games.
Right. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they release Fox McCloud for the Super Mario movie, and people go, huh?
Yeah.
So that should tell you that they're probably bringing Star Fox to Switch too. It wouldn't surprise me if that comes up.
Yeah.
Or maybe a Star Fox compilation.
There are already rumors that there is a traditional Star Fox game in development for Switch 2. So I guess we'll see, but I felt like the Fox McCloud cameo in Galaxy made sense because obviously Galaxy, space, hello.
Right.
But yeah, it would also make sense if they were trying to reintroduce the character outside of a Smash Brothers context.
I remember the E3 that they used. They had Jim Henson come in and do the Muppets or the puppets for Star Fox. And there, do you remember that back when Reggie was still there?
Oh,
They did the E3 where they did puppet. There's a Miyamoto puppet, and then they did the Star Fox ones.
Oh, right.
Right. When I was in New York at the time on business, and I went to Nintendo World, and they had the puppets that they used there. Those things, I mean, they look fine at the E3 presentation, but up close they were a little creepy. Not like Chucky creepy, but someone like, man, that teeth on there. If someone actually bit you with that puppet, it would actually hurt. So I don't know, it was just a little disconcerting to see, but hopefully Fox gets a new game. We start seeing something for the Switch too soon.
Please understand.
Yeah, please understand indeed, because it definitely needs something to give a shot in the arm. Whether it's, I don't regret my purpose. I don't regret my purpose in life. No, I don't regret my purchase. But again, consoles as a value proposition seems to be straining a lot these past 5 years.
Right. Yeah, I don't regret my purchase either. I mean, I've got a couple 100 hours into my Switch 2 already. And by the time I get done with Breath of the Wild and Tears this year, you know, I'll probably be doing really well with it. But yeah, I mean, they definitely need to get more high profile and good games on there. But shifting back to podcast discourse, I did want to shout out both Zyrolux and Samsonite STG. They have both been putting out excellent shmup content on YouTube and on other platforms. Zyrolux has been posting some slightly longer videos on YouTube, and then also doing shorter videos as YouTube shorts, and he's also over on Instagram. I'm following him over there. And then Samsonite STG has been posting some 1cc videos and stuff like that. He posted it was a clear 1cc video with commentary for now I'm going to forget the name. The most recent Terrarin Games release.
Missile Dancer 2, was that one that?
No, it's the one that just came out a few weeks ago. But I was scoping that earlier, and anyway, he did a fun intro in the video, which has him playing bass, and a bit of a comedy intro before that, and then sort of leading up to the discussion of the game before the actual run. And so anyway, both of them had been making good videos, shmup related content on YouTube. Go check them out, go watch, go subscribe, and give them some love, because we definitely need more high quality shmup content out in the world. And so the more that we can promote this kind of stuff, hopefully the more we can continue to grow a better appreciation for the genre among the player base.
Oh, it was, to keep in line with the mispronunciation of this episode, it was Blaze of Storm.
Oh yes, Blaze of Storm. Thank you.
It reminds me of Blades of Steel and Double Double.
Double, yeah.
Oh, geez, and the Activision Ghostbusters.
Well, I think it's time for us to double our way out of here.
Yeah, I don't. How many people? Everyone's just face palming at this point. All right.
Well, with that, I think we'll say thank you all for listening, and we will catch you next time.
Please understand. Thank you.